Good afternoon, Vice-Chancellor.
Hello, Christopher. It's good to be here.
We're all amid the age of corona that has overtaken the world in the most dramatic sense. You're leading probably the Western Sydney's most important institution, almost 50,000 students across multiple campuses and building more as we go. Just off the top, Barney, where do you sit now amidst all this crisis? Your management team, its response, you're responsible for students. How is your institution, impressed you or otherwise, managing through this immediate crisis?
Chris, it's an extraordinary time globally. I don't think we need to dwell on the fact that this is the single most challenging crisis the globe has faced in generations. So from that perspective, I think we're all learning on a daily, if not hourly basis about how to respond to a global pandemic in the modern age, where you've got social media and connectivity, but at the same time, huge vulnerabilities. And I must say that I think the community is responding incredibly well to a circumstance we never imagined that we'd face. And I'm proud of what the university is doing. You're right, we have 50,000 students and 5,000 staff. The vast majority of them living and working in Western Sydney, in this region, that they're so committed to. So I'm incredibly impressed with the way we've moved rapidly, like every Australian university, but in the context of Western Sydney, we've moved rapidly to deliver our programs online. So from Monday this week, March the 30th, we're now fully online as we possibly can be. We've also implemented significant work from home arrangements at short notice, and the staff have responded brilliantly well to that. And the health and well-being of our staff and students are our highest priority. So
what have you learned the hard way in the last couple of weeks?
I think everything is the hard way, Chris. I don't think anything is the easy way. I think the hard way, we're all dealing with the fragility of a technology platform which was never designed for this sort of stress. I think, Chris, one of the things that will emerge from this, and even though we have a dark winter ahead of us, no doubt about it, and I feel for people who are really going to struggle, and hopefully the Australian government, I think they've shown every sign they appreciate the size and the scale of the challenge and the investment they have to make into the future of this country. But one of the things that will change is our level of connectedness. Now, that might sound a little odd in a world that's super connected through social media. But as a community and as a university, we'll become much more connected. Anywhere, anytime, connection to learning experiences is going to become the new norm. Now, that's not something a campus-based university has ever been able to say before, but we're now going to be much more flexible and much more connected and enabled, and technology is going to be even more important to us. So there are ways that we'll all be profoundly changed by this.
So on the subject profoundly changed, we get all of that, the way we'll process our work. How's it going to change you personally? I mean, these things are dramatic social impact as well as professional. How do you think Barney Glover does his business, runs his family, it'll relate to the outside world on the other side of this bridge?
Chris, I think all of us in the last few weeks have been reflecting on our relationships with people, our personal family relationships. I have family spread all over Australia. So at a moment when, we would have been spending Easter with the grandkids is not possible now. So the physical contact with our family is not the same, and our friends and colleagues is very different. I think it makes you sit back and reflect on the type of life we want to live, the type of community we want to live in, and the way in which we want to express our care and our compassion for fellow Australians, fellow citizens in this country and around the world. I'm sure we'll see the level of compassion grow in our community as a result of this. I certainly hope so, and I think all of us are reflecting on, it gets back to this concept of connectedness. I think we'll be even more connected in lots of ways.
Let's hope that hoarding toilet paper is not the way we'll be considered forever as our social response to such a crisis. So.
All that reflected, I think, in a way, Chris, is fear and anxiety. People respond to that in a whole raft of different ways, and that was one manifestation of it. I think that we're concerned at the moment primarily for the health and welfare of our students and our staff. That's got to be our focus. And then from there, of course, the contribution we make broadly during the crisis. We have a lot of research capability. We have a lot of teaching capability there. We're going to have to rebuild our economy. This is not just about, we'll come out in the spring and everything will be the same again. We're going to go through a long rebuilding process in Western Sydney and Australia and globally, and universities are going to play a crucial part in that.
So to that point, you've got the immediate crisis of managing 50,000 students and 5,000 staff and the welfare and or economic implications for that. But looking ahead, the university also has to be a major player on the other side of the bridge to work on the economic recovery, to try and imagine an economy and a society beyond this that is different. How do you balance your resources towards just managing your operational crises now, to then also be looking forward? And how should government go through the same process in the rest of us?
Well, Chris, it's one of those things we have to do because the country demands it of us. It demands its universities to be ready and to be fit for purpose when they're needed. One of the conversations we're having with the Commonwealth at the moment is about what sort of security of support can we receive from the Commonwealth over the course of this year and into 2021 so that universities are not required to downsize the way we see other industry sectors necessarily to that extent, and are ready and willing and able to step up quickly to do the high level training and education that's going to be required to change the economy for the future, to make it more resilient, to make
I know you're looking at some retooling education options to get a workforce fit for the future, and that's currently with government and has to be determined. But maybe at the other end, what does this possibly mean for your ambitious infrastructure program? You are a builder of Western Sydney and one of the biggest project managers. Is there any slow it down, speed it up? What do you think the impact being on that ambitious development pipeline you've got for the university?
Well, I think you're going to find that one of the responses from the government, state and federal, as we get through this initial phase of making sure people are safe and that the economy is as protected as it can be in a globalised context. So the next phase is going to be about economic stimulus to get the economy running again and to prime it, and that's going to come through infrastructure. So I think what we've seen, the extraordinary 5 years that we've seen that you've been such a passionate advocate for in Western Sydney is going to lift to another level, would be my anticipation.
Do you think there'll be enough coin left in the public realm to fund that, or are you worried about balancing the cost of, obviously, employment welfare now with future economic stimulus?
Well, I think there's no doubt that if the government wants, as they do, the economy to be up to speed as quickly as possible, it's going to be through infrastructure investment to do it. And Western Sydney is the epicentre of that. So that will continue. Every university in the country, and we're no different, has had to pull back on its capital program this year to preserve cash and to keep our borrowings low as we manage our way through the difficult months ahead. But we're very committed to our broader development program right across Western Sydney. It's a crucial part of reshaping the cities, something you're, again, passionate about, Chris, reshaping the cities of the West. We play a key role in that. We're a catalyst for that sort of development. So we're committed to it. Our campus in Bankstown that we're planning, we're still continuing. We're not pulling back from that incredibly important project. I think you'll see the next phase of the Liverpool Innovation Precinct come forward. I think this will become Campbelltown's moment. I know you're very engaged with the future of Campbelltown. That I think we're going to be able to push even more rapidly ahead. And then you've got the opportunities in Penrith and Blacktown, as well as continuing the massive investment in Parramatta with the airport and beyond. From my perspective, we all imagined this was going to be an extraordinary decade, 2014 to 2026, when the airport's due to open. I imagine now it's going to be even more significant because of what COVID-19 has brought home so dramatically, and that is we're a fragile community everywhere. We're fragile. Something like this can knock us around, and we've got to get up, dust ourselves off and find a way through it and bring people with us, not leave them behind. So infrastructure investment is going to be a key part of that.
Well, Barney, as I said, I think WSU is the most important institution in the region. It's probably got an even greater, more important role to play at the back end of this. If we don't find a cure for COVID-19, Western, at least we're going to find a cure for the economic ills that will follow afterwards. So good luck and Godspeed on behalf of, your students and your staff at your core, but your wider community when they're fighting with you. So good luck, mate.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.